afternoon, class. My name is Tiffany, and I will be discussing with you the foreign policy as Putin is visiting George Bush in Maryland at Camp David. Bush, he had a very warm welcome, and he referred to Vladimir Putin as his friend, and he talked about their progress and the relationship between the United States and Russia. He says how the two nations are doing everything in their power to stop this war. Bush states, Russia and the United States are allies in this war on terror. Both of our nations have suffered at the hands of terrorists, and both of our governments are taking actions to stop them. Terrorism is a very serious issue. He talks about how there is no reason for causing it. He also discusses how freedom in other countries, such as Iraq and Afghanistan, will not only benefit themselves, but can benefit the entire world internationally. He then states the reason for this is because free and stable nations do not breed ideologies of murder or threaten people of other lands. He then states that both the Russian and United States government will continue to work together to bring about peace and freedom. He talks about how President Putin and himself want to join their militaries together in order to better fight this war. He states, our goal is to bring the U.S.-Russian relationship to a new level of partnership. I respect President Putin's vision for Russia, a country at peace within its borders, with its neighbors and with the world, a country in which democracy and freedom and rule of law thrive. By having a strong relationship with Russia, we can have better lives as citizens of both nations. As a result, there will be less violence and more peace. He then ends his part of the speech by saying, Mr. President, welcome to Vladimir Putin. Putin, he thanks Bush, but he doesn't refer to him as a friend as President Bush did. He refers to him as the President of the United States of America. He then discusses security, not just in Russia and in the United States, but worldwide, and how ending the war can make the world a better place. He then discusses his relationship with Bush. He states, despite all the difficulties that we have to overcome, the spirit and the basic principles of our relationship have remained the same. Mutual confidence, openness, predictability and consideration, and respect of interests of each other. We value very much the level of relationship that have focused with the United States. Both of them have focused and worked on many issues in today's world. They both have put much work into the war on terrorism. They are each other's allies. He also discusses the North Korean nuclear problem. He states, as to the North Korean nuclear problem, I believe that the priority now is to unblock the conflict situation around the Korean Peninsula to create a favorable climate, favorable atmosphere for a constructive dialogue. And Russia believes that ensuring nuclear non-proliferation regime should be accompanied by extending to North Korea guarantees in this sphere of security. We intend to continue our joint work with the United States in resolving this issue. They want to see a free Iraq which will solve many of the nations of Iraq's problems. President Putin ends his part of the speech by saying that he is happy about all the progress they have made. And once again, he thanks President Bush. I will now discuss the ethos, logos, and pathos that both these speakers have shown. George Bush had his ethos. He had good charisma. He demonstrated much goodwill by saying that in order to bring about peace, we need to fight. He also stated, we're determined to improve our joint ability to fight terror, to keep peace in troubled regions, and to stop the spread of weapons of mass destruction. His logos was logical. He used many examples. He justified what he said, and he spoke in a way, and he showed throughout his speech that he gave much thought to his audience, and he wanted his message to be spread. His pathos was he showed much friendliness towards Putin, and he referred to him as his friend, and he also gave much thanks. President Putin's ethos was he didn't have as much charisma as Bush. He got more straight to the point, and he didn't use much. He didn't try to emphasize his point as much. His logos was he also showed many good examples, and he used the Secretary General of the United Nations as a frame of reference. His pathos was, as I said, he didn't show much emotion, and he ends with, and in conclusion, and he also, his closing statement is, this was a very useful meeting. So, in closing, you have now seen the foreign policy as Putin visiting Bush in Maryland at Camp David.